All right, look at this Sunseeker here. You got all this like, look at this diamond plate little stuff all over it, all over the perimeter, and obviously, and on that other side as well, and then the other side. And so you can see it's already, this bunk is rotted. I'm going to show you, if you're looking for a coach, and you go, hey, I'm thinking of looking at buying that thing. I'm going to tell you how you can tell that your bunk is pretty much already junk before you buy the vehicle. Look at the dip right there. That is indicative that you have a rotted bunk. So if you were to buy this one, and you come up and you see this, and you see that, that tells me right off the rip, this thing has had issues. But that's a good indicator right there. And also you can go in and you can punch the underside right here. Just give it a punch, it should feel real solid. If it's not solid, you probably got a rotted bunk. And you're gonna have to tear the whole thing apart. Almost all these Class C's that come in, I don't know if I've had too many, well more than we've had in this shop are, rotted. We've done an extensive amount of them. And you can see there's a wave right here. So that tells you that there's rot under there. And then we'll show you inside over here in a minute. But when you get down the coach, you want to kind of tap on it. And you can, listen, hear the difference? And you can feel it. See how puckering in? That tells you you got rot from here over. Generally, it comes from the roof. How else are they going to get in there? Sometimes you'll see it around the window. It may wick a little bit, but that would mean that would be solid, and it's not. So that's how you kind of inspect them. You go, hey, I'm looking at it. If you see a lot of caulking around something, just there's a reason for it. All right, it had a lot of leaks. Back wall, same thing. Hear that thud? Let's see if we found a solid section here. Go back over this one, because that's all right in the back. There's that. Then we go over here. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, you can even see that flex a little bit right there. See it? So I'm just trying to give you some pointers. If you're going to buy one, a lot of people go, hey, that's a good old coach. They spend way too much money for them because they go by maybe the book value, or you're at a sales place or whatever, and they're trying to tell you, hey, this thing's great. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, there's always something wrong with it. Generally, it's the roof too. So those are some pointers right there. And then we come into the, hopefully I got enough light. Yep, I see a light on in there. All right, so what we do, obviously when we come in here and work, we cover everything. I want everything covered. We try to respect people's property here, definitely. But you can see all the rot in that corner. And then if you look here, I don't know if you can notice it, but you can see, and it goes like this, and it widens out. That's that dip that I was talking about. But this thing is rotted. You can see all the damage, all the water damage up there, everything. So when you're inspecting, you get inside, look at it. If you see new trim and molding, that's usually indicative that somebody's been tinkering with stuff. You see these dots? That means water been getting in there. These are all, you see that wrinkle right there? I tell you, water getting in there. There's a separation down there. So those are some of the things you want to look for. And then we'll peel it apart, but we've got a big old rot hole right here already. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to take this bunk out. I just want to show you what the inside looked like. And this isn't a bad little coach. There's no slides on it or anything. It's not a bad little coach. Just got this, there's a bathroom, and then a little cabinet here, and then there's the bed, but there's no slides. So it's a cool little coach. We're probably going to be putting solar on here. We've already taken the AC off. So we'll end up getting this roof stripped here in a little bit as well. And I'll go up there and show you that. But that's where we're at with this. Let's go up there and see if I can go up on... We'll go on the top there. The scaffold isn't put together because we're doing all this work on it. Put these stairs on here, makes it easier to come up and look at stuff. But there's your roof. But like I said, we got the AC off. All these luggage rails, they'll be gone. And then obviously we'll put a new roof deck on it. We'll strip it all down. But that's us so far. We'll get rid of that antenna, and then I think you want to put solar. I think there's solar panels in there, so we're going to prep for that too. There isn't a lot of room on it, but we'll do what we can. So we're starting to take this insert trim out. You can see all those rusty screws, but look at the back side of this thing. And then you can see all the water. That's why I don't use this. The stuff that we use is going to go in and then it'll go over and it locks it. It's got a groove in it. But it's pretty common for these to leak like that. But all that water is sitting in there, rusted out all these screws. Hopefully we can get them out without tearing all the heads off them. That'll be a challenge for sure. So, we got the window out. Then we're trying to get all this freed up so we can pull that bunk down. Well, we got the bunk tore apart. We got to get the platform out. Here's some of the rotted wood. Looked like somebody had at some point tried to fix it because that one's kind of fresh, but it's all rotted. You can see the inside of the fiberglass on that side and over there, and here are all the pieces. See how rotted they were there. All that's trash. So we also got the roof off. So let's go upstairs and take a look at the roof. Ta-da! Look at that mess. So we got to strip all that apart, obviously, and then balance the roof out, and then redeck it. But we also have some solar, I think, going on here. We'll figure all that out as well. All right, so we got all the roofing stripped off. Hey, I'm doing a video here. You can't interrupt that.
Sorry.
Gee whiz. Studio, I tell you. All right, we're going to put some more moke on here. That's what we're going to do. We peeled it all up. We got all the rotten wood out. We've still got a couple little crumbs right here we'll peel off. And then obviously we got to shore it up, and we'll have to get some of the dips and get the roof true, and then we'll redeck it. So we got the bunk out, so we get that much out. We got to start rebuilding it. So how's we got on our Sunseeker? This section here, it goes up across the platform, then the radius sits on there like this, and then the bottom platform sits here. Okay, so that's what this is, and you can see how rotted all. It's just a mess. So I may save that frame. However, on this one, this was the platform, and that is significantly rotted. And you can see even the wood inside there. You can see all of this stuff. That's just, it isn't worth it for me to try to salvage this. You can see, like right here, there is no welds on there. I just put these little booger welds. I've worked on a couple of these before trying to salvage the aluminum a little bit. And even like right here, no welds, but they do have a screw in there somehow. But right in there. But anyhow, I was working on one, and the thing literally fell apart, like just collapsed. So you can see all this rot in here. It's just not worth it for me to salvage all this mess. It's harder for me to work with it. So I built a new one, and I built a new radius. I'll show you. This is our new radius. So a lot of times, the reason why those radiuses on there and you get all those leaks is because there's no strength in it. So what I've seen some of these manufacturers do is they put way too much heavy stock in there. We pulled one apart. I couldn't believe how heavy it was. And what happens is when you get down the road, that bunk is bouncing, and that weight of it is just boing, boing, and it's just starting to take everything apart. Now, on the conversely, if you have a little stock in there, then what happens is the wind and the turbulence kind of shakes it around, and then things start to leak that way. So you got to kind of find the balance. So we made this all up here, and then we glued it all together and got it all foamed in, and then I'm going to wrap it with probably some steel. So that'll bring some sheet metal, come around and pull it in. So that's that. And then over here on the platform, my messy shop, but this is the platform we made. So this is the new platform. It's all framed out. It's got a lot of strength in it. Everything's glued. The panels are glued down, and then we also went around with some foam adhesive around the perimeters of each insulated panel there. So that'll actually give it some strength. And I'm trying to get it to bond to the wood that I framed out. Okay. So now what I got to do is just skin it over. I got it skinned on one side. I'll skin it over again, and then we'll put some other Phylon on the bottom, and then I'll probably put a piece of roofing. Believe it or not, I'll probably put a piece of TPO roofing on there because it'll look clean, and it's strong, it's washable, and it'll be watertight, right? And I got some extra hanging around, so probably do that. All right, so that's what we're working with. So give an idea of how we put all these together. These are not DIYs. We show all this stuff because I'm sure my customer is going to say, hey, what'd y'all do? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? So now he knows. So, and there's still a lot more. We got some delam and everything else on that thing that we got to fix. This is the piece that goes up on the wall, and then the radius comes around. This is this piece. All right, so you go through here. Hey, my lights don't work. I wonder why my lights don't work. My lights don't work. Looky there. They just notched that aluminum out, put that in there. So you could end up with a short or something in there. I mean, this one looks pretty good, but I mean that's suspicious. I'd never do that. That's silly out there. That's the way they do them. I'm gonna try and salvage and work with this frame, so I may have to strengthen it and use it because it's all made up to marry up into the roof assembly. It'll just save me from having to fabricate it all. So I'm going to tear all this apart. I'm going to get this foam. We'll see what that looks like. If it's workable, sure. If it's contaminated, I'll just tear it out, put some new in there. But I wanted to show you this here because that's a joke. That's an absolute joke. So I'll be looking for another job if they did that crap here. That's for sure. There's other ways to do this. See, they notched it here. They could have even drilled a hole. That would have been better to drill it and then put a couple bushings in there, which they don't ever do that either. But anyhow, let me get the strip on this thing here and get it rebuilt. Well, we got some problems here. This whole roof assembly. This is one of the trusses. You got another one there. There is two for the air conditioner, and the rest, that whole thing, that's why it was bellying out. Sometimes they're buried up underneath the foam a little bit and we can't see it, but there's nothing there, so we made new truss assembly here. So I'm going to put this whole roof back together, framed it out, give it some strength. We're going to redeck it, so it needs to be done because there's literally no strength in here. So earlier when I showed how this looked like it was kind of bellying down, that was why. There's nothing underneath there. So we're going to give it a little camber. That's what we're doing, just a slide camber on this, just enough to give it some more strength. And you know, when we rebuild the bunk, we'll pull it all back together and it'll look good. It'll be strong. So we got to get all this together, and then we got like 3 or 4 licks of mold kill all around everything to make sure it was all set. And that's about where we're at so far. Once we get this done, then we can kind of start addressing all the delam here. There's also delam down there. So, it actually comes all the way up. You got to pull the window out, but you can see it right here. That's all. That sound okay? Come over here. This is all. You can see it pushing in. That's all loose. So we're gonna have to take the corner off, take the window out, and it's almost the same on the opposite side. So we got quite a bit of delam to work with on here for sure. And like you said, we'll frame everything else back out and get it all back to where it needs to be. Probably gonna add some more insulation into it. So we're plugging along. All right, well, check out what we got going on here. We re-framed the whole roof right here. All new trusses. So we put all those down. And we ran these about 2 foot on center. That's what we did. We were originally going to put 3/8 on there, but if you put 3/8 on there, then when you walk in the center, you'd have a bow right there when you walk on it. So we upgraded it to 1/2 inch. And then all this stock right here, we're putting 3 solar panels. Boom, boom, boom. 3 solar panels there. Solar panel going this way, and a solar panel over there. So we've got 5 solar panels. That's what all this wire is for. Trying to get them all dropped down in there. So you can see now what we did is put all this insulation in here too. Added insulation, and we're going to deck this thing real soon. So all we're doing right now is just dropping yet another wire. That's the way you wanted it set up. These 3 on one circuit, that on another, and he'll do all the mess down there. We just drop them. We don't wire. We don't do any electrical. Very, very little. The only electrical we do, rewire, like obviously the air conditioner, and if it had a power fan, that's about it. But we don't get into all that. If you need a light, you know, we've done that, replace the light. But we don't just willy-nilly just start pulling wires and start hooking other things up. As you can see, we're still working on the bunk. That's open. Got all this rot right here. So that's going to get all peeled back. Got to take the door out. We're going to take the window out over there, the window out over on the other side. Well, we got to tear this thing apart and then redo the sheathing behind it and then relaminate it back together. So far, that's where we're at. That's the speedy update. Well, we are rotted. Look at all that. Look how dark it is. That is just rotted. So We got the other piece outside there. We'll show you how bad it is, but there's nothing holding it on. All right, this is the piece. You can see how bad it was. It's all delam. There's only a good section, like a few feet. You can see like from here over to here. That's it. So it wasn't worth trying to argue that piece because even down there was all, so it was only really up in this area. So that's why we just decided to take it all off. We'll fillet all this off. Once we get it all filleted, then we need to put new luan on the wall. And once we get all that done, then we can glue this back after we clean it. So it's real cloudy and it's been raining off and on. So we're gonna let some water hit it and maybe that'll soften it up and be easier to take apart. You can see this here. This is what we're gonna get off, all that rotted stuff. And then what we're going to do is get some new luan on this foam. So we'll get new luan on there, and that's what they're doing now. They're scraping it all off. Once they get it all scraped off and clean, then we can start putting the new luan on. I think we've got to fix some of the bucks around there. We got to fix some pieces. And then this wasn't even secured. They didn't secure this piece to this piece. So if you, we had to put some screws in it to hold it. But if you don't, it'll just flop apart. So we'll get all that back too. But this is just, it really is, that's a mess. I think the other side is the same way. And we may have to do that because I'm looking over there. But I know down the other end there, it's really bad. Down on the driver's way in the back. So we did get the roof deck though. I'll show you that. So yeah, look at all this rotted wood. Look at all that rotted wood. So we're gonna have to reframe that. We got rotted wood there. This whole box right here around the refrigerator, all rotted. Yeah. So I'm sure when we get around the windows, we may have some issues too. So, and you can see over there, look at that's mulch. That right there is mulch. That's what it is. So, like I said, we'll fillet all this down and clean it. Let me see right here too. Gee whiz. Whew. Alright, so you can see we got the roof all decked, and that looks beautiful. We get those are our solar wires right there. That's our antenna wire, and once we get that all done, we're ready to rock and roll. Got a lot of work on this. All the framing is rotted. This is the frame that holds the wall and the floor together. Right there, rotted. Got a block in here that's all obviously disintegrated, mulched right there. Same one goes here. That one obviously you can see all of it is just disintegrated. The whole thing. The whole thing. So we got to go along and see, we got all this all rotted. Again, this is what holds the floor together. You get another strip down there. It's all rotted. Everything's rotted in here. So people say, hey, you know, what's it cost to do delam? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what the problem is underneath it. And a lot of times you think you could just pour some, they have these kits out where you can put epoxy in them. It's not going to work on this. There was so much delam, that's crazy. And a lot of times when you do pour the epoxy, it'll just drool down and you won't get the full span coverage. You know, not unless you can get something in there to kind of squash it around. We do very little of it. If it's a bubble, that may be one thing, but if it's a big piece, you're not probably going to get that to stick. You're going to have to take something apart. So we've got this here going on, and we also noticed some other issues. See, I sneak around. I got a fan on here you can hear. We're going to open this up right here. Got a screw in there holding it, but you can see right here how that's bouncing. Right here, see? That's all. I don't know if I have to take this back wall off, but that's pretty bad. At least right to here. Here's where the ladder was mounted. There's no mounts there, and you can feel the difference, like from there and what's rotted. Like that seems a little more firm than this, but the projection of it is different. It's kind of tucking in right here. We've got some over here. You know, and then the other side is just as bad as this. We've got most of it freed up. But these are some of the projects that come in, and it'll throw us behind. Now we knew we had delam on this, that was part of the work order. Our anticipation was to come down that other side, even on that other side, just kind of open it up like we do, and then get in there, cut the rotted wood out, put some fresh wood in, and relaminate it. But not on this. This whole thing had to come off. This one is free as well. We've got a couple of sticks just holding it right now, but this is all rotted in there. The whole thing is rotted. So this whole entire wall, same as the other one, it's appearing to be. Let's see how bad the framing is on this. That looks rotted. So, well, there you go. This is what throws us off. So when folks say, hey, you know, how far out are you? And I like my customers to watch these videos, because I can't send this out not doing a good job. You can't say, oh, we only thought we were going to do this, we're not going to finish a job, but now this is going to take us a lot longer. And it throws our calendar off bad. So we're going to take this, I'm going to, once we get it all freed up, ready to go, then right now, like we got one over here that I showed you how bad it was. This is the passenger side. So we threw some water on it. We're trying to get this Luan to loosen up, and we're going to clean it all up, and we're going to reuse it. We're not going to, there's nothing wrong with it. A couple of little pieces, like right down here. This one is broke, you know, so we can probably patch that in there, but we're not going to replace the whole entire piece. We're not going to do that. We're going to try and keep it original as much as we can, and we'll epoxy where we can to make it, and it'll just be that much easier. So and it saved you some money too, but you know, like I said, that right there, that was the spot that was right here. This spot right in here, that's all good wood, and that's about all there was with just that one little section. So it didn't make sense to try to open this up, like I was saying, how we kind of pull them back. It wasn't worth it on this one. We have to take the whole piece off. So we'll clean it all up and we'll get it back on there. We try to do the work where it doesn't look like it has been breached. So we want to put it back so it looks like, hey, it's original, it's all back to where it is. We start throwing new stuff on there, you know, obviously you're going to have to decal it. You're going to have to do a lot of you know, extra stuff that maybe we can save if we can. So but most of this, as long as we can get it dry, if it's just that one layer, that's okay. If it's just the one layer, some of it we may have to bring down, but it'll still go. It'll still adhere on there, especially with the adhesive we use. We don't use the cheap stuff around here. So. All right, well, let us get back to work. I just want to give you an update of what we got of this old Class C right here. We do have the bunk platform built. We got the radius built. We got the top piece that goes up there. We get that all built already, but there's no sense of putting it all in right now until we fix all the rest of the stuff, right? So. All right, more to come. All right, so we got some of the framing already put in right here, and then we come to the corner. Somebody is bashing into something, so we're going to remove this, and I'm going to stitch this back together. And then look at all that rot right there on the back wall. So the back wall, gee whiz. This thing has seen better days for sure. It's like an abused dog. Neglected dog, maybe that's a better way of putting it. Alright, so that's what we're up to right now. We've still got a lot of work ahead of us. Alright, so I put this piece in here, and I'm going to attach it all to here. Then I'm looking at it and I'm like, why are these big screws here? This is foam. See, there's a big piece of foam here, I just tore it out. And they got another screw right here. That big screw there. See? It's just going right through the foam, but that's supposed to hold all this on. So I'm going to just take that board out, and I'm going to put a bigger one in there, right? A wider one. I'll put a 2x6 in there. And then I can leash it to this, and then I can leash it to, there's a plate, a flange plate on the inside. You probably can't see it, but there's a flange plate right here. So I can screw to that down in here. But otherwise, it don't make sense. That's just the stupidest thing I've ever seen. That sounds like it's steel, but it's not inside there. So obviously there's some steel right here. There's some stock right there. So I'm just going to screw it all back together that way. That doesn't make sense. Like I said, I'll screw all that and glue it all back together. That's just well, why would you put it right through the foam? What's that going to hold? Nothing. It doesn't hold anything, so it all shakes apart. Well, we are trying to get this bunk together. So we stripped these pieces out. But then you come over here, and looky there, it's all broke. So I got to fix that. They just had it sitting on this, but that thing wasn't. That's how easy these things break apart. So I fixed it. I like aluminum frames. The weld and the alloy is terrible. It's cheap. Cheap shit. That's what it is. So we're going to check this one over here. I got this siding I got to move. And we'll check that one too. But now I got to get fixing this other one. And like I said, we're just going to replace this sheet because it was that bad. And then the owner is going to try and take care of some of the other stuff inside. Which is great because we've had so many extras and stuff on here. And then one of the other things we did while I get the camera out. The back wall came apart. And I think I showed you that, and we're trying to negotiate it back together. But so we've got a ladder that's going to go on, so we need to frame this. And then I also had a tire over here, and the problem I have with the tire is it was just a piece of wood put in the wall, and it would pull out. So we made a metal frame and bolted it back into the metal frame in there. And now those bolts right there. So let me show you what they do here. There's no weld there. There was never a weld there. There wasn't a weld there either. They only weld one side. That's why I don't like aluminum frames. And if you look right up here in this door frame, see if I zoom up, see how that edge isn't welded? It's got a little snot weld on the inside, but that's it. That's all they do, even on the upper ones. They're all the same. So how are you going to carry a bunk? So now this thing goes down the road. They got them flimsy anyways. But you get all that headwind and it rattles them around, it shakes them around, so that's what breaks them loose. Once these welds go in the opposite direction of what they're welded, I did have a weld on the inside, but that was it. So once they start wobbling and going, in this case, since the weld is on the inside, if it starts racking this way, it'll break that weld. The other side was the same way. So what we did is we built some gussets in here, because I don't want this thing to happen again. So this is what we did. This is stitched to that. It's all glued, stitched in, and these are all, welded together. I welded these gusset plates in there, so that's tight. We're done. We don't have to address this problem again. We got one on the other side as well. So, but that's just the way they do these things. It's a shame, but this is all the stuff that takes us some time now. Not every single one is like that, but that we have to put gussets in. Not every single one. So we have to address them as we get them. And obviously you can see all the foam, so we're going to reskin the inside of here. We're going to reskin the inside of that one. We've got everything else all built, ready to go. It's just a matter of fixing this. When we started putting in the platform, we noticed this thing walking all over the place. I'm like, let's fix it. So it's coming along, but it's coming along slow. So, and then you've got on the other side over here. I'll walk around this way. This is the driver's side, and you can see we've got some rotted wood here as well. All this rotted wood, all this. This is that part is okay. Then you come down here, we're rotted here. So we may have to, figure a way to. If we do a splice, then I'll have to clad it with something to. Let me zoom this back a little bit, bring it back. It is back. So if I do put a splice there, I'll have to put a plate over it to give it some strength. I really don't want to interrupt any more than I have to. And then this one down here is all. That's all rotted. So we got to do the wheel well around here. This piece looks rotted down here, especially in the sections. Some of this framing, you got to look at that. That's probably just the skin of the that was on here, the Luan. So, but this is what we got going on up here. We've got another gusset in there. It doesn't matter which side it goes on. It was just happened to be the way it was easiest to weld and get them prepped up. As long as there's strength on there, we're gonna have the Luan and everything on here, which will bring it all back together. But yeah, it's a mess. But they in the stitch side, like you said over here, it broke too because of the way they welded it on the same side. So we just did the heck of it. Obviously do both of them. I don't want to try and just do half of it and then watch the other half fall apart down the road and then have to fix it, right? All right, let's get up here. See all that nonsense going on? If you keep going like that, that weld's going to break. And that's all it is, just that booger weld right there. You'll tear that apart. And look at that groovy one right there. My first weld. So it'll all twist. When we put all this together, we're going to glue everything together anyways. So as long as I can stifle that, which I will with the platform and with the front piece, it'll be okay. Because you'll have everything. This isn't going to be doing this anymore. Not when I get it through with it. It isn't going to move. So, like I said, this is all our flinch plate, and in here, all that's all welded. That's all holding together. So again, once you put your platform in, you're going to be nice and tight there. So I'll get all this back together. So this screws in here. It goes to the back of the wall right there. That's what pulls all that together. So, all right. Let me get some. All right, this is what we're working on. Trying to get some of these pieces out. We already got that one out. It wasn't too hard. Kind of fell out. But now we come over here. We took this chunk out. And look at here. All damaged. I got to put a new piece in there because all the water will kick up and get behind the wall. So then over here, the way we fixed this is we did a half lap. Took a routed it all out. We got another piece we're going to put in there. And we're going to actually put a piece in there, and we're going to overlap it with another piece because we need it wider to carry that light. So it was just easier to put a bigger piece in there. And we'll secure it all together. And it'll save us from having to tear everything else apart. And then, like I said, we got to get that piece too. And then replace this, you know, blah, blah, blah. All right, we got some glue on there, all around that perimeter. We already got this one on. I'm trying to go slow with the camera. We already got this one glued in place and fastened. And then after that, we can start putting the bunk together. Well, look at our progress. We got the bunk done. Now we're gonna try and start gluing this wall. We got all the glue on, all the sheathing done. It's all done. All the repairs are done. Everything's done, even the back. So we're all set. So now what we're gonna do is get this all prepped so we can obviously glue the siding back on. And then we'll have to figure out some trim because it had all that chrome stuff on there. You know, that big expanded, what they look like, expanded metal or something that they had and wrapped around it. It looked terrible. So we're gonna try and figure out a deal with that. But that's where we're at so far. We got her glued back on. Both sides is done. You can see up there, we're getting the roofing. So let's go take a walk around and we'll go look at the roof. We got all this all glued on. You can see all that darkness right there. We may end up putting that chrome plating back on. It seems to be what he was rooting for. So, all right, we got the driver's side is already glued. So you can see we've got, we already showed you it was already decked. We got all our protective strips down there. We've got a protective on the shoulder here as well. So we're ready to roll this and get her done. We still obviously got a lot of work to put the windows in, solar, all that other jazz. So, all right, let's get to the set. We are finally done with this daggone Sunseeker. This has been the biggest project, even though it's a little camper, that we've ever done in the shop. Like the biggest, because we had to do everything on it. We've done other projects, as you've seen on video on our channel, but not the whole entire thing like this. So you can see right here, we've still got some discoloration. That was that chrome. There was all the chrome. We did not put any of that back, but we did butter up all the holes. So what we did, our main goal was to get it structurally sound and watertight. That's what we did, you know, and agreed with the customer. So some of this other stuff is cosmetic. He is more than capable of doing it. So there's no reason for us to tear up that wallet if he can do it himself. So obviously we sealed and caulked everything, got the roof down. I'll give you a glance at that. But you can still see some bruising on there, like I said. And the siding we tried to salvage, but you can see some around here, you know. You can see all that. You can see there's even a couple other spots like down where there was some cracks and stuff. That's basically what it was. So like you can see one like right here, and one right there. So he's gonna clean that up. All I have to do is put a little Bondo on it and he can put some decal on it himself. It's really that easy. So now let's see if we can go upstairs here and I'll give you a glance at the roof. I'll show you how we got everything mounted. You can see we've got all the solar, all that mounted. We've got another panel over there. We just finished washing down the roof. And he's got his solar wires right there. He's going to hook these up. Now we'll mount them, but we are not going to wire them up. So we've got our stands in the back of the AC. We've got our front flashing over there. You can see we got the scaffold stretched apart, so I really don't want to walk over there too much. But we've got everything intact. Got all these little boots that hold these down with 3/8 bolts going through that are connected to the roof. When we did the framing, we knew where we were going to install them. So we prepped all that, so we have some solid stock right up underneath there. Put a new awning fabric on there, and that one there, we have to open and close it a couple times to make sure it'll line up, and then you can pull the sheet back and forth. That's why it looks a little cattywampaified. But other than that, we went around and sealed the whole entire coach, and like I said, buttered it up, and it's been a project, that's for sure. So they come out really well, considering how bad it was, that's for sure. I mean, it's still not going into Better Campers and Gardens magazine, but it's solid, it's sound. So once you clean this all up and put some decals on it, he's good. I mean, it's done. So we also got that little wine guard antenna on there, right there. And you can see we get that mounted with boots as well. And the wire, you can see the wire there. So if that fails, all you do, for whatever reason, if it just fails or what have you, to change it out if you need to, you just undo. Again, we got 3/8 bolts in there. Take them loose with a 9/16 wrench. Undo your coax on that side. Pop it off. Go get a new one. But you would have to drill those out a little bit because they don't come 3/8 holes in there. So we just put a multi-bit through it to make the holes a little bigger, and then got everything done on there. So we've got all these bolts right here that mount everything. All these bolts. We got those mounted down. And we put some Loctite on everything to make sure it's secure. So I mean, everything is done. We're ready to go. So this roof is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO, and everything is all heat welded. All this is all heat welded. Every bit of it is all heat welded. So you don't have to go around and put slobber caulking on there. All this customer has to do is bring it back to us, and we'll do the inspections on it. So I like to see them come back. You know, I like to see them ideally 30 days, but if it had to stretch 60, that's about the limit. I'd like to see them come back because we want to check, make sure everything we did is just right. And then after that, at least, you know, you got to come back once a year. Every time you come back annually, we renew it for another year. We renew it for another year every time you come back. So, well, we appreciate you watching and muttering on through this long video. And just keep in mind, none of these are DIY videos. And we just are getting inundated with calls and questions and so forth that I just can't get to. I just can't get to. So, and the other thing is, if I give out too much advice on something, I don't know what you're working on. I don't know what you have. I don't know the circumstances. And a lot of things have to be compatible. So if I say, hey, this is a great product, and you put it on, you may go, boy, that son of a gun, it doesn't work. Well, there may be another issue underlying that I can't see. So for that reason, I just shy away from even doing that. I tried to help another guy out a while back. He was having some issue with the foam. I told him what to use, and then back and forth emails about, hey, this didn't work, da 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 da. So now it looks like, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I said, I don't know. I do this day in and day out, and you know, evidently you ain't holding your mouth right. I don't know what to say. So, but we appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.